Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a special, not podcast, more of an audio piece on my recent experience at a Benedictine monastery. I'm Jake Kettle, everybody, host of DoseNation. Thanks for listening in, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about what the Order of St. Benedict is. It means to be a Benedictine monk, what it means to be a monk in general, and also the experiences that I had there. First of all, the order is called the Order of St. Benedict. That's the monastery that I stayed in, a Benedictine monastery. And there are other orders as well. There's the Trappists, there are the Cistercians, Carthusians, there are a lot of different kinds of monks. But we're going to focus on the Benedictines. So before I get into my experience and what we did there on a daily basis, and it was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful place that I went to, really fantastic. Had an unbelievable time, really great. But let me go into a little bit of the history. So, the Order of St. Benedict is a Catholic religious order, and it's organized by independent monastic communities that all follow a common rule. And this rule is the rule of St. Benedict, and I'll discuss that a little bit later. Most of the monasteries, the abbeys, are autonomous, but they are organized under an international governing body headed by the abbot primate, and that was established by Pope Leo the 13th, I think, in 1883, and that was known as the Benedictine Confederation. That's a short history of the modern part of the Benedictine order. But let's go back to the ancient world and talk a little bit about who Saint Benedict was. So the first monastery was established at Subiaco in 529 by Saint Benedict of Nursia, and the first, dozen or so monasteries were founded by Saint Benedict of Nursia, and he lived from 480 to 543. He wrote the rule. It was based on, at least in part, it is believed to be based on the rule of the master. Most monasteries have, especially in the Middle Ages, adopted the rule of Saint Benedict. It was a standard of Western monasticism. Benedictine abbeys were everywhere, and the Benedictine monasteries today are very different than other religious communities and other Western religious communities because they're cloistered, and that's not something that other religious orders are, at least not in the same sense. The other thing is that there is no superior general. There is the abbot, and then there's the abbot primate, but there is no real superior general. The largest number of Benedictines are Roman Catholic, but there are some within the Anglican community and some in other Christian sects like the Lutheran Church. In modern times, and this is what I'm reading, in modern times the various autonomous houses have formed themselves loosely into congregations. For example, Cassinese, English, Solemnes, Subiaco, Calmodulce, Silvestrans, that in turn are represented in the Benedictine Confederation. They came into existence through Pope Leo the 13th's Apostolic Brief, Summum Semper, on July 12, 1883. This organization facilitates dialogue of Benedictine communities with each other, and the relationship between Benedictine communities and other religious orders and the Church at large. So, the Rule of St. Benedict was written by St. Benedict of Nursia, and what it does is it lays out a way for people to authentically live the Gospels, and in addition to that, it lays out the day pretty well too. I mean, the motto of the Benedictine order is Ora et Labora, which means pray and work. It is to work and pray without ceasing. It is to do these things without ceasing, and part of the goal is to bring the consciousness into a unified state, where you're not scattered, where you're not all over the place, but where you're centered. It's also meant to bring balance to the life, and balance with God, and balance with Christ, and to nurture that relationship with God and with Christ. And it's a very deep spirituality. There are many people who wake up very early in the morning. I know that when I was at the monastery, and this is when I'll begin to get into some of my experiences, there would be monks who would be there at very early in the morning before morning prayer, who would do spiritual reading and meditation. And the days were very structured, but within that structure, there was a certain type of freedom that came out of that. And it was a sense of liberation from the rat race that we all run through on a daily basis. So once I got there, morning prayer was at 7:30 in the morning, normally at 6:30, but 7:30 in summer hours. Then there was breakfast, which followed. Fantastic breakfast, by the way. Great food. Believe it or not. I know that's not what most people would expect from a monastery, but it was very good. In addition to that, then there was a period of downtime where the monks would either study or work. Those who would take classes would take classes. As a retreatant, someone who is not part of the community, that has no connection to the community in official capacity, I stayed in the retreat center. I took a lot of pictures, walked around, that kind of thing. And then midday prayer was at 11:50. And you would go in for midday prayer. And the way the church was designed is it was in a circular fashion. It wasn't Gothic architecture like a lot of people would expect. It was very modern. It was built in the 1950s. The altar went 140 feet into the ground, and the church itself sits on top of the rim of a formerly active volcano. It's no longer active, of course. And what's so interesting about the prayer is that the divine offices are prayed, and sometimes they're combined with Mass. Sometimes they're combined, like Lauds with Mass or Vespers with Mass, depending on the day, depending on the season, the liturgical cycle. And then Vespers would be at, I believe it was 5 o'clock. And then after Vespers would be vigils at 7:15, and in between there you would have dinner. And lunch would be right after midday prayer, which was at 11:50. I'm sure if I was a monk, I would have had more structure, but I'm not a monk, and I don't have that sort of access. But from what I was able to gather, the way that they live is very balanced. It's very simple, but not in the way that they're simple-minded people. I don't mean it in that way. They're actually incredibly intelligent people. They're incredibly aware people, but their lifestyle materially is simple. And I think there's something interesting in that, because they're free of a lot of the things that people on the outside are not free of. For the 3 days that I was there was a true liberation. At least, I mean, even as an outside retreat, and even as someone who is not a Benedictine, someone who is not a monk, and is just went there on a 3-day retreat. And I've been to this monastery several times, but it was a beautiful experience. And every time I've gone there, I found it to be a beautiful experience. I found it to be a wonderful experience, and I don't want to say enlightening, but there are moments of insight where you can learn things about yourself and about other people and about the way your own mind works, and that can help you understand the situations of other people as well. One thing I want to put out there, Benedictine hospitality is some of the best I've ever experienced. I mean, it's better than a 5-star hotel. I kid you not. Especially where I was. It was better than a 5-star hotel. Very nice lodging, incredibly generous people, incredibly nice people. The monks, the abbot, even, the staff, incredibly nice people, incredibly generous people. And as I've said, I've been there many times. It's not just a front. This is a way in which people authentically live that. Yeah, I mean, I would really encourage anyone to go out and get a copy of the Rule of St. Benedict and give it a read, and to really think about, does this have any relevance today? I think it does. There's a great book by Father Nicholas Buxton, which you can read, which is called Tantalus and the Pelican, Monastic Spirituality Today. Of course, the Rule of St. Benedict. There's a great documentary out there. This is not about the Benedictine order, but it's about the Carthusian order, called Into Great Silence. It was a film made in Germany. There's also the Rule of St. Augustine, the Rule of the Master. These are all things you can go back and look into, and that you can discover a treasure trove of information, especially on meditation. If you read the works of Evagrius Ponticus, of Origen, the Ante-Nicene Fathers, of the early Church Fathers, you'll find very interesting theological points of view. You'll find with the early ascetics, such as St. Anthony, Macarius the Great, that they had insights into human psychology that were far beyond what was around at the time. 200-300 BC, 300-400, or excuse me, AD, 300 or 400 AD. These are all subjects that I would really encourage people to look into, to explore, to consider. And if you find that it's not something that you're interested in, that's fine. But I think that there is value to it, and I think that something can be learned from it. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about Benedictine spirituality, what you guys think about monasticism in general, which is a major topic of mine. And if you want to hear more from me, I mean, I just did a short video here, not to, or a short audio clip here, not to boggle everyone down, but I did want to talk a little bit about it and, get some viewer feedback and see what you guys want to hear more about. If you guys want to hear more about the prayer, or the work lifestyle, or the rule of St. Benedict, or the order's history, or whatever, please send us an email, contact@DoseNation.com. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/DoseNation. You can find us on Twitter, twitter.com/DoseNation, but the email is the best way to get in contact with me. And I'd be more than happy to do other videos and other audio segments on any of these topics. So feel free to email me and to do that. So, well, thanks everybody for listening. I hope I gave you guys some very, just the tip of the iceberg of what the Order of St. Benedict is all about. So I hope that helped. But thanks everybody for listening. I will see you all at the next podcast. Thanks for joining us.